We have, if I look at our stakeholders, we have business, of course, as a very important audience, and we have politics, we have continuous partnerships with many governments around the world. And of course we have NGOs, we have trade unions, we have all those different parts.
Media, of course.
Media, of course, and very important
Media,
experts and scientists and academia.
Wow.
Because if we are looking at the future, I think we should look at new solutions, and the new solutions will be very much driven by technological developments.
And we even have, you even have religious leaders, right?
We have religious leaders, we have social entrepreneurs, very important social entrepreneurs.
And see this, it's good to let these guys say it in their own words.
Yeah, religious leaders and social entrepreneurs.
So now,
of course, media.
Right, of course, media, right? So what we'll see is that everything is going to, under the World Economic Forum, all of these ideas are being consolidated. And so this is the think tank behind, the idea of BlackRock, Blackstone, Vanguard, State Street, what is it, Berkshire Hathaway.
Hathaway, not Batway,
Yeah, so how all of those guys are being used to consolidate all the resources, all the wealth, all the media, all the industries together into one cohesive, centralized location. Yeah. And then this is the brainchild, or organizations like the World Economic Forum are the brainchild. So you still have the Club of Rome, Budapest, and Madrid. You still have the Royal Institute of International Affairs. You still have the CFR. You still have the Trilateral Commission, Bilderberg Group, Bohemian Grove. And so now, if one of these is taking center stage, that lets you know that they're one of the least powerful. And remember, the rings within rings within rings of power.
Yeah,
right?
if they're in public and you can do research about them, if there's going to be information available, they're
right. So
they can go.
So now we can see that, here's Klaus Schwab boasting about how they've infiltrated or penetrated, as he says, different cabinets, speaking about it's going to be Germany, and with Angela Merkel, she's the former prime minister there, and it's Justin Trudeau in Canada.
I mean, in this previous one, he kind of already said that we have NGOs, we have media, we have all that, but this one will be a little bit more direct, him saying that, right?
There you go. Let's go ahead and cue this up.
What we are very proud of now, the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina, and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are for our actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
So
half,
right?
I mean, now we have. Sorry, I cut you off. But now, not only that, because he mentioned Brazil or something, we have Zelensky too, another young global leader of a certain country that I don't know if we can say it, but
So you also have Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Also, the retard that's over my country. I don't even remember his name, but
and then people forget Pete Buttigieg. He's our current
transportation
secretary, and then also Gavin Newsom.
No, not Gavin. He wouldn't do that.
So when you start looking at the who's list, now it used to be like this you could get a list like this for the Council on Foreign Relations.
Yeah.
And so people, who's the Council on Foreign Relations? What is that? What do they do? Right. So, and back in, I guess the 90s and early 2000s, it was all about that. People that were into this data, look, these guys are, they can produce a who's list of who they have infiltrated in whatever government position all over the world.
Let me tell you what they do, like Hillary said. I don't have to drive too far for them to tell me what to do. That's what they do.
I should have included that clip. We don't. It's good to be back. Like Dick Cheney says, it's good to be back at the Council on Foreign Relations. Yeah. And as Hillary said, now we don't have to go that far because they had created another office to be told what we should be doing.
So in 2 words, that's what they do. They tell these people what to do, pretty much. Yeah.
So now I'm going to rewind this a little bit. So now this guy on our right should be familiar. Do you know who this is?
No.
This is David Gergen, right? And so you'll notice who this guy is. Let me switch back. Let me switch over to another video.
Yeah.
Close this out. Because this will be familiar when you see this. This will be let me open this guy.
Oh, okay. Now I know who he is. Okay, let me make sure we're watching that.
Yeah. So this is David Gergen, and this is the interview that he did with Alex Jones, right? This was Alex Jones, as he would say. David Gergen would say that Alex Jones is doing like ambush journalism, right? So, but he asked him about an organization, right?
Let's go.
Criticizing you. Oh, what about Bohemian Grove? And then you countered them by saying, "Hey, I don't run around in the woods naked." What did that mean? Here is the before-mentioned Washington Times article where he said, "I didn't run around naked like they do."
I don't know what quote you're referring to. I'm not aware of any quote like that. Listen, I am a happy member of the Bohemian Grove. I like the folks who come there.
Happy member.
It's really inappropriate for me to talk about the group beyond that. Thank you.
Have you been there for the ceremony with the cremation of care?
Frankly, I don't think that's something I need to talk to you about.
It's so funny.
Yeah, these guys.
Yeah. Wow.
So there we have David Gergen.
I know now who he is, right?
Yeah, and so you'll regularly see him on CNN. Yeah, he's one of their main talking heads to explain, what all these speeches mean, what all these different business agreements between nations, what different treaties would mean, and he always seems to find himself in all of these situations that can basically explain to the common folk, the uneducated folk, what all this stuff means.
He's ill-explaining us.
Yeah, there you go. Right, and so now, that would lead into a former president, Richard Nixon. What Nixon has to say about the Bohemian Grove, and so
I want to say too. So maybe we'll talk about this in God King Father Friend podcast. But this was like a major turning point for me too when it came to turning into religion type of stuff too. Seeing these people, the stuff that they do.
So seeing the elite of the world, you would think the higher up you are, the more successful you are.
The farther away you are from this fictional, there's a book with the spaghetti monster on, and then these people believe it because they can't do it on their own, so they need some hope and all that stuff.
So they're using religion as a crux. But now you'll see at the highest levels, they're the most religious, and so and this kind of gets you into blood or child sacrifice and a whole bunch of stuff that we will have to cover way later.
It's kind of like part of the mystery religion too that we haven't really got into yet.
We have so much more videos to go through before we get there, right? So here is Nixon talking about Bohemian Grove.
Oh, I think I know which video this is.
As spring began to bloom in Washington, D.C., President Nixon took the time to have an impromptu conversation with two of his close aides.
Let's look at Northern California. You understand? Yeah. You know what's happened in San Francisco. San Francisco is just gone. It's clear over. I understand, but it isn't just down in the ratty part of town. But the upper class in San Francisco is that way. The Bohemian Grove that I attend from time to time. The Easterners and the others that come there. But it is the most faggy goddamn thing you will ever imagine in San Francisco crowd. It's just terrible.
It's nice to see that San Francisco hasn't changed in like 60 years.
Well, it's a different set of values.
So funny.
Sorry about that. But so then you have Nixon giving his 2 cents on what's actually happening with Bohemian Grove, and so there's really good information that we can show from what actually happens at places like Bohemian Grove and all these secret social societies. Remember, because underpinning all the secret social societies are the secret societies. P2 Masonry. The Jesuits and a whole bunch of other ones that we've already listed before in previous podcasts. But the next piece we wanted to show was the actual former Vatican president. We was talking about, if you're talking about Klaus Schwab and the Great Reset, here is Ettore Gotti Tedeschi's take on why they needed the first or the initial.
You are watching our highlight version of the full show that we did. To view the full version of the podcast, you can click the link below in the description.
Stay up to date with everything Iconic by following us on all of our social media. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. To support us, you can go to theiconiclabel.com and purchase a hoodie, hat, or gear. You can also support us by going to patreon.com/theiconicpodcast and making a monthly contribution.